All right, all right. Everything as we start off the show, I'm gonna say hello to my friend, Mr. Chet Maddox. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, Mr. Storm, I'm fantastic. How are you doing, sir?
Good toy evening to you, brother. I'm doing fine, brother. It's always good when I can when we can talk toys on a Wednesday night. Well,
Yeah.
tonight it's going to be a little different because I'm going to do the rundowns and everything. Mr. Maddox is going to sit back for the night and everything. We thought every now and then we should do it. This is Toy Box Chronicles number 13. Glad everybody's tuning in for this. Right here on the Shadow Nose Network. This week is a special week. We put it up on the community, but this is Star Wars week on the
Oh,
channel. So like almost everything this week has a Star Wars theme.
yes, sir.
So you're going to see tonight, we're going to have topics. There's going to be Star Wars topics for tonight. In fact, let me run down some of these topics. It is going to be, we're going to talk to Star Wars toys, past, present, and future. So we're going to run down the Kenner toy line. We're going to run down to Hasbro. We'll talk vintage collection. We'll talk Black Series. We'll talk some of the obscure ones in the days. And we've also been doing some toy hunts this week and picked up some Star Wars stuff as well. So we're gonna run that down for you. We've got some pre-orders that
Oh,
we've done. So we're gonna discuss the pre-orders that we did this week. That's always a point of contention. Ramen Toys, the Ramen Racer has been delayed again. We're gonna talk about that because this seems to be a regular occurrence over there. And something came in the mail that we've been waiting a long time for that's also been delayed. We've got McFarlane Pave Punchers, the Hasbro ones. There's some Transformers and some G.I. Joes. All that and more on tonight's Toy Box Chronicles. Let's kick the intro. All right, we're back and everything. Again, Toy Box Chronicles. If you're not subscribed, you should subscribe. We do this every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Wednesday, myself and Mr. Maddox, we talk about all things toys. And again, Mr. Maddox, we got an exciting show tonight, man. We got some stuff
ooh,
because, again, it's Star Wars week here on the Shadow Nose Network. So that means everything across the board is going to be shadowy. All the shows, special toy hunts, all kind of craziness is going to be for Star Wars week, which leads us into obviously Star Wars Day on Saturday, May the 4th, which, by the way, happens to be Free Comic Book Day. We're going to talk about that on Pixel Plastic Ink this Friday because that seems like a boneheaded maneuver. But
yeah.
beyond that, hey, let's get into it. There's some pre-orders popped up this week. And just like last week, Marvel Legends is on fire. Marvel Legends is on fire.
It's insane
Uh,
it was insane the amount of stuff coming out at Marvel.
yes, and
Uh,
and and
has-
yet almost all of it's been good though.
yeah. What's up, Meeks?
What's going on, sir?
Welcome in, bud. This is I'm happy you're on you're on early right now. This is great. Yeah, man. Look, hey, Hasbro.
Mm,
The only thing I got to say about Hasbro
mm,
is they need to get their shit together on the pre-orders because
mhm,
no matter when I try to jump on to pre-order,
mhm,
it's like things run out. I had to renew my pro membership to get one of the
mm.
pre-orders we'll talk about. But like man, they are just I don't know what's going on over there, but I think that what they're doing is trying to remind all the small toy makers who's the boss.
Mhm,
Because they are pumping some stuff that and look, you and I talked about this too. Like
mhm.
we weren't like Marvel Legends people.
No,
I
no,
I'm gonna
no.
be honest with you, like I wasn't Marvel Legends. I was like, it's
Yeah.
fine. Like I'd rather read the comics, whatever.
Mhm,
But dude, I'm mad at the amount of Marvel Legends crap I'm buying right now. Like I'm gonna be in the world you are with like the HasLab stuff and
Oh
even
yeah.
there was like a HasLab announcement, right? Like
Mhm. I know. Yeah, they pushed that back. Actually, they pushed that back as well. Which
wasn't
is they said
that was
to
supposed to be
give
this
it
week,
more.
right?
It was supposed to be this week. Normally, it comes on either before or on Star Wars Day, and
Mhm.
they said, "Hey, the better well prepare." So one, I got a feeling it's going to be something pretty big because most of the HasLabs look they better be big. It doesn't make sense for you to make something minuscule like the Engine of Vengeance. You should go big.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's kind of cool. Two is what happened that they weren't ready for Star Wars Day. It is the same day every year, May the 4th. It doesn't change. So that means somebody dropped the ball or something must have happened. But no, man, I didn't have a real reason to collect Marvel Legends. And there's a YouTuber, Lyle's Figure Files, and he's big into Marvel Legends and a lot of stuff. And I just saw some of the stuff that he was like, reviewing and everything else. I was like, some of that stuff looked kind of cool, but they
Yeah.
weren't making the characters that I really wanted. And then all of a sudden, it just started. Some of the obscure characters like Kazor, and a couple
Yeah.
others.
Mhm.
I pre-ordered the Target exclusive Sam Wilson as Captain America with the wings because the first version didn't have that.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, we just did the one of my favorite Ghost Riders, Danny Ketch, and his motorcycle.
Well,
And
let's let's uh
that's gonna be
let's
such a
let's try to pull these up and
yeah. Let's pull it up.
because I think that there's a lot here we need
Yeah,
we need to go over. So
I will tell you, you were right though. HasLab immediately sold out,
yeah, I mean
and
it
And I
just it's
started noticing a couple of the other major big box stores online started to sell out as well, fairly
yeah,
quickly.
the thing is like everyone wants to go to like everyone wants to go, if you say we're releasing X, Y, or Z, right? People are
Mhm.
going to want to go to your site,
Exactly.
and the site, the ultimate site right now is Hasbro Pulse,
Mhm.
right? But here's the problem: is like, I mean, okay. First off, I forgot that Ghost Rider came out. You reminded me. You said, "Hey, did you get it?" I said, "Nope." And then I realized that I logged into my Hasbro account. I couldn't pre-order it, so
Mhm.
naturally I went to Entertainment Earth because they're a partner of ours.
Exactly.
Couldn't get it there, and then finally, Big Bad Toy Store, like I was able to grab my Ghost Rider because I'll be honest with you, this is like this. I mean, if you look at this figure,
Yeah.
like this is gonna be this is a great figure,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
It
and I
is.
and I do love Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
but they killed it with the motorcycle.
Yeah, the motorcycle is the appeal of the. First of all, this is my favorite version of Ghost Rider. I was never really a Johnny Blaze fan, nor Robbie Reyes. Although I do like the Charger and everything, but it doesn't really kind of seem like in the same lore as Ghost Rider. I've always liked Danny Ketch. He's from Midnight Suns.
Mhm.
If you read him in the 90s and 2000s, that's your Ghost Rider. But it was always like they've done Ghost Rider. Will they ever do the bike? They've done the Harley. They tried to do the Charger, but when I saw that bike, I'm like, no, I don't
Well,
give a damn how much it is. I'm buying that.
well, look at I mean, and look at how good the packaging is.
I know. Finally, back to good
Like,
packaging.
this is the thing that we've talked about
Yeah.
continuously
Hmm.
throughout our podcast, right? Which
Hmm.
which is, as Meek says, Black Winter looks dope. Ghost Rider looks dope.
Yeah.
Superior Iron Man. So
I
yeah,
know. I know.
yeah. If you look, like, I mean, this is just one, but they set it up. The
Yeah.
thing on the bike is this what looks like a mask, like folds down
Hmm.
over the wheel. So and I'm gonna be honest with you too, like the price is 49, but that's honestly only $20 more than a regular one, and you're getting the
Hmm.
motorcycle and the stand.
And yeah, with the whole flame effects and everything else like that. No, I think it was like we can never go back and say it's reasonably priced, but they really could have went way over for that, man. I
Yep.
really truly believed it could. I remember we talked about this.
We were talking about this when they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
This is another really, really good good figure that they came out with. This is the one that in order to pre-order I had to log in
and put the Hasbro Pulse re-upped it.
Yeah, had to re-up that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this is such a clean Grimlock. There's no way that I wasn't going to get this.
Yeah, especially when it comes with that great comic book art,
Well,
like boxing.
You know how like how
yeah.
I couldn't find this one in the background though. I don't think that's
Shockwave.
Yeah, I don't think Shockwave's up yet.
Yeah, it was, again, they're doing a great job. The killer fact of this is that, again, wasn't in the Marvel Legends. So now every Marvel Legends takes away from like a G.I. Joe Classified. So now it's like, what you're like, what's your poison here? Is you gonna get because some of the characters, look, I'm always been a Luke Cage fan. I love Iron Fist. I wasn't really that big fan of the Sam Wilson's version, but I thought with the wings, I'm like, well, wait a minute, that actually is kind of cool. And see, now on the secondary point, that's $44 over at Target for Sam Wilson and the wings. $49 for 2 characters and also a motorcycle and an actual character.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on at Target? So technically, that lets me know that Sam Wilson Captain America should have been about $34 technically. Because do you tell me 2 giant wings is going to cost the same as a motorcycle or a second figure?
Yeah, I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't know where they're.
I love that box art too.
Yeah, the box art's fantastic on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to go through and look at what was the other one that we
well, I know it was the transforming Megatron, the tank.
Yeah, like I want to talk about that real quick because this is $8.99.
Yeah, wow.
That price point makes 0 sense to me, by the way. And let me explain why it makes 0 sense.
Okay.
So it's $8.99 for this Megatron, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's way 80th anniversary Deadpool. Yeah, dude, 80th anniversary Deadpool is like it's fantastic. But good luck trying to find it now.
Yeah, wow.
Target over they're making a mad.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, so back to my point on this Megatron. So this is a massive one from Roboson.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than Optimus Prime and bigger than Grimlock. So why is it $8.99?
The only thing about it is
Optimus and Grimlock are like 1,000 plus.
Yeah, but see, now here's the 2 things. I don't think it's due to technology, but I think they did it at that price point because that's technically not the version of Megatron that we normally see. You've got Optimus that is screen accurate and Grimlock is screen accurate, but Megatron's not. He's turned into a tank. And we know that in the animated show, he didn't turn into a tank. So I think maybe in a way they probably felt like maybe this is a less desirable version because it's not a true version of Megatron. So maybe, they tried to do a price point on it. Or maybe they didn't sell as many of the earlier ones and they started adjusting their pricing.
Could you imagine how freaking hilarious it'd be if he just turned into the blaster?
Oh, yeah, there's no way.
And it was like it just fell over on your desk. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I probably would have bought it.
Well, look, I give them credit. Like I said, turn it maybe you got a point about that. Yeah, maybe.
But it would probably exactly makes like it'd be $1,000 for him turning into a gun.
Exactly.
But everyone would be like, well, I mean, hey, it's Megatron.
But no, I give them, I think if they did go down for it could be in price inflation. You never know. It could be the point that they got into the situation where they didn't sell as many Grimlocks and as many Optimus Primes, and maybe they thought that price because when you put things at 1,000, people are like, wow, there's a level. Now $8.99 doesn't scream any better. It just screams like it's just $8.99, but it sounds better than $1,000.
Yeah. Hey, who do you think's the type of person that is excited to buy a helmet?
Well, like I said, as you can see that there's a Black Panther helmet. I guess that would be myself.
I was just kidding with you. Let's see. Anything else?
Yeah, next week I will have the SMS with the from GI Joe
Hmm.
for the his tank, because technically they shipped it out, but for some strange reason it takes them almost a week and a half to get from Pentucket to California. So I see all the other YouTubers reviewing it and everything. I'm like, well, what in the heck? And I just looked at today, said it'll be here on the 4th, so we'll have to wait for next week and roll that out. But yeah, no, there's some there. Like I said again, I give them credit. They're doing some good work. I saw some of this again. We've got some Star Wars stuff in this week, so let's throw this right up. I think I might set this on the Pistol Plastic Ink show on Friday last week, but I was in Walmart. Walmart had some stuff on discount, and Walmart had Black Chrysanthemum. Well, technically they call them Chrysanthemum, but I'm gonna call them Black Chrysanthemum because that's what they call them on the show. So at first, I wasn't going to purchase figure. This was like $13.99 on clearance, and I was like, okay.
That's pretty good. I
From
like that.
$34 drop down, I was like, okay, you
Yeah.
piqued my interest. There's two guys over at the Walmart. Let me mention them again. Matt and Simon. They were Walmart employees. They were on their lunch break, and they were looking at the Ninja Turtle figures retro. So, and
Mm.
like I gave them credit. I was like, they're going old school. And I asked them to say, hey, man, before I purchase this, because this is in the packaging that nobody wants, because we've all known what happens. I was like, can I open it, brother? And it was like, can I open it in front of you guys? It was like, oh, yeah, go right ahead, man. He was in there. I was like, all right, I'm going to purchase this. And we got the figure over here. Initially, the reason why I wasn't going to purchase the figure was I had saw the last year for San Diego Comic-Con. They had a vintage version, and it looked terrible. It didn't look anything like Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
And I will give them credit. When I opened up the box and I took a look, first of all, it's heavy as crap, man. This is probably one of the more heavier figures
Was
next to
it
probably the Thor that I have sitting on the shelf. But the detailing and everything in this, right on the money. It looks way better than the vintage collection version that you're seeing pop up at, like, on Target's clearances at the moment, or some people have been seeing them at Ross.
Yeah.
Much better scope. So I was pleasantly surprised about that, but I
Yeah.
purchased that for our Star Wars week kind of scenario. But before we get into that, we got to get into Ace from Ramen Toys. And
Yes.
I don't like getting into this because I generally like the stuff that he's doing. But, on the show, we call out things when it's not right. Well, like I said, I purchased technically I was gifted the Ramen Racer by Dr. Brentley.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, hey man, I got a Christmas game. It should be there Christmas of 2023. And I was like, when he told me about it, I said, oh brother, thank you, man. It was such a great thing. I was looking forward to this. I said, man, that's gonna make an awesome Christmas present. And then we got the point, like, Ace sent information out. Hey, we weren't able to get the production right, doing some work on the stuff. It'll actually be pushed to January 2024. So I was like, damn, a little disappointed, but I was like, okay, well, hey, as long as they get it right. So January comes around, get another message from Ace. And it's like, yeah, we're running into problems and we're getting close to Chinese New Year. And that's a very long holiday over there that most people don't work on. So that's going to delay it even further. But we promise you, when right after the New Year, we're getting right back to work and everything's going to get good and we're going to get it out. Danny comes with the excuse of we're having some production problems and situations, and that's going to push things. So finally, we're like, okay, well, maybe hopefully we should get it sometime in May then, because he said, it should get out and everything else like that. Come to find out today, and he's taking some heat on Facebook right now, where people are pissed. People are like, well, what the heck, man? Because he came out with a thing saying, hey, the initial 600, the first 661 or whatever number that he came out with,
Yeah.
that initially will hit the ships and from logistics and everything else.
Yeah.
That should be in whatever region of the world, which would probably be the United States, by June. But for the rest of the orders, Those probably won't come until about August, which I'm probably seeing late August, early September. So people started blitzing them up, and they were like, "What the heck?" And what's going on? And
I
Ace
mean,
is trying to
rightfully so, because
obviously.
you're delayed. If you're delayed from December of 2023,
Hmm.
the average consumer is going to be okay with like a month delay.
Now, mind you, we pre-ordered that right around the episode, like either right before Yojo June, because I remember I was like anticipating, like, well, I'm just gonna go for the Dragonfly. I was gonna put my orders for the Dragonfly. I said that's the priority, man. I said, as nice as that car is, I'm not gonna really do that.
Yeah.
I'll take my G.I. Joe Classified over it. And then Dr. Rentley surprised me and said, no, man, I got it for you. I was like, oh, right, cool. So we've waited this amount of time. This is the thing that's killing him. I think Ace is, he's saying there's logistic problems and situations, but what the fans hear is excuses.
Absolutely.
They don't care about anything else. If Hasbro did the same damn thing, they'd be calling out the same scenario for Hasbro, which they have done. Um, the part of it is I understand that these are small companies. We're always in it for the small guys, but the part of it is that if you're small, you've got to do it like you're big. When you make a promise, you better make it, because the difference between it, and this is the aspect that's come now. I already had in my mind that was getting in December of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So at this moment, I've mentally moved on from this car. And by the time that I do get it, which chances are I don't think I'm going to be in the June batch, I will probably be somewhere in the August, September batch. I mentally moved on from it. How well am I going to enjoy something that almost took a year and a half
Well,
to
let's
get
be
to me?
clear too. Like, the only reason why you'll enjoy it at all is because it was a gift. But if you spent
Yeah,
your own money, you'd
I'll
be
be
upset.
pissed. Well, I'm still pissed because it's Dr. Brentley's money, but still.
No, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, it has more meaning because it was a gift. But
Exactly.
for somebody that went in and bought it and was like, yeah, and here's the and this bothers me because this is what I
Hmm.
think that, like, that young startups or
Hmm.
the small guys, and as somebody that has launched products before, um you, you can only do so you can make, like I said, you can make your promises, you can try to be as transparent as possible.
Hmm.
But I think the issue comes into play where when you set expectations
Hmm.
and you can't meet it, you have a very thin line that you can cross for reasons why.
Hmm.
And typically when it comes to, oh, well, it's Chinese New Year, oh, well, this, oh, well, that, it's like, well, but you knew that you were manufacturing in China. And as somebody who's dealt with manufacturers in China, my first initial email that went out before I did anything on my production stuff was,
Hmm.
here's my target date for when I need this in the States. What does this look like? And their response was, we have Chinese New Year. We have and I, because like for my game Unicorn and Zombies, we had that problem. But it
Hmm.
was tell me what it is. So when I got that back from them, that's when I then made the commitment around the delivery time, because it was like, okay, well, but because I had never mentioned anything about delivery, the
Hmm.
response was, hey, well, I tried to aim to have this delivered or be able to tell everyone that I was going to deliver it on X date. We can't. Here's the reasons why. So this is my guaranteed date, and I missed the date by like a week and a half.
Okay,
So
not bad.
I still even missed the date, but I was able to log in and say a week ahead of time and say, hey, this is just sitting at customs in Long.
Hmm.
So I can't. There's nothing that I can do. I got to wait for the hold, and the only reason why I missed it by a week and a half was because the hold of
Hmm.
customs. So I think that like, look, he puts out great stuff. I love Ramen Toys. I love what they're doing, right? But don't act like you don't know what's happening in China for production when you're in China visiting and doing your shit. Like, that's, to me, that's just lazy.
Yeah.
And
Well, he's.
but I love his toys. Like, he's great. Their Ramen Toys is fantastic. I think it's
Mhm.
fantastic. And I'm strictly speaking from somebody that purchases and then has to
Mhm.
listen to the stuff coming through. Does it mean I wouldn't buy ramen toys again? No, it doesn't mean that at all. I like I said, I love the products.
But
But
the joke that's coming back is that while I in the time that he's gonna get me the ramen racer, I would have gotten 2 HasLabs from GI Joe. But yet also he has his bread van that he's been working on, which is technically a 80 series black and red striped van. We won't do for legal purposes. Try not to get anybody in trouble here. But so I'm getting to the point. Like my birthday's in September. I'll be getting that and everything. I will probably be looking at another year older before I get the bread truck. And then he's teased a Pontiac a Firebird or something, or I think a Trans Am, one or two, that has a beam that's in the front of it. That by the time that's happened, I will have 3 birthdays that would have went by the time I would see this. So I give him credit, you know, and then I also know he's the person that's also producing Flipor, which, you know, if Flipor is not on a logistics bin right now, where we're not looking for Flipor until sometime at the end of the year. So, you know, but again, you know, I love East's toys. I love his designs. I think he's doing really good business, but it does seem like there's a little bit back and forth on items when he says, hey, you know, this is coming and this is not, and then he's having rebuttals on the site and people are calling him out for it. And you know what, here at Toy Box Chronicles, even if we love you, we're going to call you out because we want somebody to call us out too, man.
Well, I want to know what everyone thinks watching this, whether you're watching it live or after the fact. Like, comment below on what your thoughts are when deadlines are missed, because it's an important thing that you brought up, and that's one of the points I was getting at is like, look, you spent $225 on this product, okay, and then it's delayed. Well, like, what else could I have spent the money on? And it's like you said, you're going to get through 2 HasLabs before you get one. Like
that's tough.
Yeah, so
it's how you build brand loyalty on something that the major brand is getting you your stuff, and it's the guy that you took a chance on that you're having reply after reply. That's why I said again, it's heartfelt because I know undoubtedly there's going to be guys who's going to love his stuff, and then guys will be like, I'm not going to order that ever again.
It's just called due diligence and like and showing, you know, like this happens a lot, right? People get the money they need for what they're trying to build, and then they just forget about the build, and it's kind of a problem.
Well, you know, again, so you know, we're hoping that you know, sometime in the winter we'll end up getting the ramen racer. If we do, we'll do a review. And we won't do an unboxing because I've seen the work that he was putting into it. We will just have it out because it'll be forever to get it out. Now we were going to do something about the McFarlane stuff, but let's just go into I mean, you got a point.
Delays suck unless a defect was found in manufacturing, but either way, delays suck big time. Yeah, I mean that's it, right? But they suck, but there's an acceptable sucking version of a delay, and then there's a delay because you're lazy.
Yeah, there's no point. But let's we'll roll into our main topic, and we'll save the McFarlane thing towards the end.
Oh yeah.
But let's we're rolling in again. It's Star Wars Week here on the Shadow Nose Network, or SKN, like we like to call it ourselves.
Yeah.
And all the shows here are going to have a Star Wars theme. And actually, the funny thing is about Pixel Plastic Inc. on Friday, because we are the main show on the network, we decided, you know what, 1 week ain't going to do it. We're going to go 2. So there'll be a show this week, Friday, and then the following week, there'll be another Star Wars related topic for that. So just let everybody know. But tonight, it is Star Wars, the toys that everyone remembers. And we're going to do the past, present, and what the future of Star Wars toys looks like. So now, if we're going from the past, well, everyone remembers. I distinctly remember this in 1978. You know, 1, sitting in the theater seeing it. 2 is later on actually having the toys, X-Wing, Luke Skywalker, from the Kenner brand. Now, look, if you're going to have a company that does things right, the Kenner brand did a lot of things right. And those Star Wars figures were some of the best action figures. If you're looking back from nostalgia, Kenner is right there at the top when it comes to that.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Mr. Maddox, with any of the Kenner lines, what's one of the vehicles that you might have had that you just was like, it was one of the best?
Oh, you want to know what that is, huh?
Yeah, like what Christmas did you want a Star Wars toy or something else like that? It was under the Kenner version. Uh, was there something under the tree on a dad or a birthday that you thought, okay, this is exactly what I wanted?
Yeah, I have it. Okay, well, so like I think Kinner, I really wish I had a box for it.
hmm
Um, but I'll show you. It's the Kinner TIE Fighter.
Okay.
I think the TIE Fighter is probably one of my favorite ships of all time. Because it's super simplistic.
Exactly.
And I sent you a video earlier
I
of me
saw that.
watching the Blue Harvest from Family Guy,
Saw that.
and
Yeah.
it was like they did a scene in that where there's like a decked out TIE fighter, and it's like bumping and it's like flying, like
hmm
playing rap music in space, with like flames on the side. But I mean, I look, kid, like the 70s, 80s, and 90s were it was impossible to beat Kenner at toys.
Yeah. No, Kenner was doing it.
I don't think you could have beat Kenner at toys, and I'm surprised that it took the turn that it did. But when
Well,
you
they were located in Cincinnati,
yeah.
which is like I said, a very hardworking area of the world, and naturally, look, they had a long hiatus after the initial Star Wars film. It's not like today. There's Star Wars products pumping out. You get to see Clone Wars or the Bad Batch or something. There's always some other kind of thing. Kidder needed that. They were top heavy in like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. After Return of the Jedi, though, they got a toy line that just went from ultraly on everybody's mind to nowhere on their mind, and they're just trying to come out with. I think they did the Power of the Force, if I'm not mistaken, in those days, and they just tried to drum up business, but without a actual, show or anything else. It murdered the line, but then they did have a small reprieve back from some of the earlier stuff from Phantom Menace and a couple other lines until they were purchased by Hasbro.
Yeah.
But I still think, like for me, I remember my brother and I, we weren't big Star Wars fans in toy line, but we did ask for some. So I had I thought the X-Wing was just the perfect one because the X-Wing had electronic
Mhm.
lights on it and everything. I was never into the Millennium Falcon. To me, seemed like it was just a play set more or less.
Oh,
And
well, yeah, the scale of it basically was.
yeah, it was just, and I was like, we're not gonna, be outside with this kind of thing.
That's
So
that's along the lines of the USS Flag.
exactly. It's just it's a great toy, but I just thought like for playability, it was that. I remember we had Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, we had R2D2, and I remember the R2D2 had like that really nice little chrome on it,
Mhm.
that just really reflected well. And
Yep.
all their stuff was, like I said again. Now, back in those days, their scopes weren't as great as their scopes are now. But as a kid, your imagination, you knew that was Luke Skywalker. You knew that was Yoda. They actually had cloth capes and everything in those days as well. So that's the line. When I think of Star Wars lines, I think back to the Kenner line. But I'd be reminiscent to say that I was, again, there's certain lines we're not going to do. I'm not going to get in Star Wars Black. And then I saw the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and they had the Darth Vader one. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And then you start going down the rabbit hole of picking that up.
Which Darth Vader one?
It is the one from the Obi-Wan Kenobi version. I've got it right here. I pulled it up. It's just a standard version, just another version
Oh,
of them. Probably
yeah,
they put just in a nice box that was blue this time instead of red.
yeah,
But it was actually pretty cool. Actually, also too, Chris, his Christmas present this year was an alternate version of a different universe with Darth Vader in, where he had an all white Vader. That's
yeah.
somewhere around here. That was actually pretty cool too. I never seen it like that. But with Star Wars Black series, I truly believe the vintage series. I'm not into the vintage. because it's just a scale that, again, if you were collecting Kenner back in the days, you might as well.
Yeah,
But the Black Series, the detail,
it's really
like,
good.
wow, like, if you want a character to look like it just came off the screen, 6-inch, and with all the just the accessories and everything, the looks, and that Holocron series, I actually ordered the Vader from that series too, where you can have a little pod, it lights up and he stands
Mhm.
on it and it looks like a communication beam from him. Like, that's actually pretty eventful too. So, like, Hasbro's done a pretty good job. Last year they had the non-exclusive Jabba the Hutt that they had, I guess, put out during San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep, I remember that.
A lot of the newer figures look screen accurate. I know Shadow's in. He's purchased a lot of the Bad Batch characters. Those all look great. So Kenner is like, even though they picked up the mantle, it's not like they're just repeating what Kenner did. Hasbro's been consecutively killing it with that Star Wars Black
Yeah.
Series line.
There's a few toys that I want. One you could see kind of over my shoulder,
Mhm.
right? It's right here.
I see it right there,
And
brother.
yeah, you see that? Do
I
you see
see it.
that little TIE interceptor over there?
I do.
I love the TIE interceptor. And then I really am. I'm actually, to be honest with you, which I'm happy we're having this conversation. I am looking for a complete Slave One.
Okay.
Or whatever
Well,
they want to call it now.
yeah, with the Boba Fett ship or whatever.
Boba. Yeah.
One thing that did surprise me, I believe the very first HasLab was Jabba the Hutt's barge, his selling barge. And that
Yeah,
was a feat that we never thought in any way, shape, or form we were ever going to see produced.
that was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And so
they shipped that, and that I was when I saw that I was like, damn, like
I'm like,
that's
they're pulling some punches on this.
well,
You
because
know,
they also did the Razor Crest.
yes, they did. Mm-hmm.
That was in 2022.
I remember a
Right?
buddy of mine purchased Razor Crest and he was cursing from the top of his lungs because the minute that he got the Razor Crest, and if you haven't watched the show, we're going to ruin it and shit. The Razor Crest is no longer in the show. He was like, I got a chip that doesn't mean anything now. So he was absolutely pissed about that. I thought like they did this on purpose.
Yeah, that's a slap in the face. But if you remember too, the one that didn't fund was the Rancor.
Yeah, the Rancor. Yes, which Dr. Brentley and I poked very much fun at the Rancor not being produced.
Which is crazy because there's all right, hold on, let me look this up. Okay, yeah. So on their site, there's 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 HasLabs that haven't funded. One was the Marvel Legends HasLab Engine of Vengeance.
Yeah, we knew that was going to fund for the price they were asking for.
Yeah, they were. I don't remember what the price was on that.
Well, it was way too much. It was way too much. Let's put it like this.
Right? Yeah.
Ace of Ramen Soys was way cheaper than the stuff that they were going to produce for that.
And then the other one was the Black Series, the third sister. Force FX Elite lightsaber.
And nobody was.
You can't ask that much money for a lightsaber.
No. Especially when you can have. I've seen some custom ones or buy some other retailers
that
look screen accurate. That's for far less money.
And the Rancor, and that was it. Even the Ghostbusters Plasma series. Proton pack, and then the GI Joe stuff. So I have 2 that I'm bummed that I didn't fund, and I was actually talking. I remember who I was talking to during this time. The Marvel Legends Galactus. I'm bummed out I didn't get it. I had it. I was like, all right, I'll do it, and then I just waited. And by the time I wanted to do it, it was over. And now to get it, it's like $600.
Oh yeah, it's crazy now.
And then the other one that I really want, which I can be convinced to purchase very easily, is the War for Cybertron Unicron.
Okay, now
massive toy.
We did forget about the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels, because that was sometime, I think right around San Diego Comic-Con last year, if I'm not mistaken. That fully did fund, so that should be coming.
Which one?
The Star Wars Rebels, the actual Ghost ship. The one that the characters use from Ezra, Kanan, all the
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. The
Yeah,
under their vintage collection. Yeah,
y-
that's shipping in the fall of
yeah.
this year.
So that did go through as well. That actually funded extremely quick.
Which
Mm,
let's real quick mind blowing here.
mm.
How did Giant Man fund?
I don't know, and I got to be honest with you. I thought that for the tiers that they had, they didn't have any really. And I
Yeah.
was shocked that it funded for that amount of money, and also that he had a following big enough because he seems like a very obscure character to have. Like you produced, you've got Galactus, which everyone wanted, everybody
Mhm.
knew that was coming down. You had
Yep.
the Sentinel, everyone
Which
knows.
is great. It's great. It
So
was
then you do a big figure, and the next one is Giant Man. And it's like
you
that.
couldn't yeah, and like Giant Man, you couldn't have done just like a giant Ant-Man. Like I'm confused here.
I don't know. And then the alternate heads, I wasn't that impressed with it because it's just a big Marvel Legend figure. That's all it is.
Yeah, the only alternate head one that I've been excited about, which it keeps me debating on, and we'll get back into Star Wars real quick, but
Mm.
gets me debating on spending the $600 is when you buy Galactus, you get the Doom head.
Yeah. Well, also too, if you can get all the tiers, I believe that came with all of his heralds, Silver Surfer, all the rest of them as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think if you look at if you go back and look, I'm gonna have to tell you that I truly do believe that the best all time Star Wars toys were made by Kenner.
Yeah.
And I say that because you got them producing HasLabs of toys that Kenner put out as just like here's a $40 toy to buy for your kid. And the Kenner AT-AT is unreal.
Yeah, Kenner's
It,
still
it,
one of the
it
nicest ones.
it's like you get it, you put batteries in it, that thing does its thing. It's a great toy for your
hmm
kid. Like,
I
and I,
remember as a
I
kid, it would walk around the yard.
yeah, it's where it's like
Mm,
this is what I think is wrong with toys nowadays is that they remove the idea of imagination
the
and
playability factor.
yeah, playability factor,
Mm,
imagination. I could go out into my yard and I remember doing this because I had the AT-AT. You go out and you turn it on and it walks across the yard,
mm.
and then you play around with your like other toys. If you saw the movie, you try to find something to fly around and tie the legs so it falls over. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, but I don't think that exists. And I think that Kenner did such a great job across every toy line they did, not just Star Wars,
Mhm.
but across every toy line that they did to really capture the child's like imagination.
Well, I think every manufacturer did in those times. So what's happening now is that they're not specifically selling because their price points. They have what's going on, sir? How you doing? Thanks for tuning
Waffle
in.
Lord, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got to figure out how to get you something because that's an amazing name.
It is. Thank you.
Hats
Yeah,
off to you, Waffle
and,
Lord,
and we like amazing names around here too. Cybertron.
for the win.
Okay, yeah. Give him credit, brother. Give him credit. Yeah. Um, but I just think that it's the playability factor. I think they're suiting things towards kids,
Yep.
and now they're not. There's like their price points, and they've got corporate overlords and shareholders, and so now it's like the price point. How can we each year maximize our profits
Profit.
each quarter? And so you're selling more and more. You're moving out of the audience that you definitely need to start continuously going after because they're not buying Star Wars vintage figures and they're not actually buying Star Wars Black Series figures. Those are collectors. They've got to figure out a way to do that. Kenner and Hasbro's and the Tonkas and all those guys from the 80s were selling to their consumer, which they knew were children. Now they're not doing it. They need to get back to doing it because there's going to be something there's going to be a terrible reaction, and it could be too that their imaginations have gone away a little bit more too because of the digital element of everything else. Because while we had video games, it was still better to be out in the backyard than it was sitting all day on a Saturday, on a video game. As much as we loved the NES systems and everything else, it was different though. We were from the
Yeah.
era where you went outside a little bit more. They're from the era where they sit inside a little bit more, you know.
Yeah, I was notified that our chats may have a slightly longer display or delay. So,
Okay.
um,
Sorry about that.
someone say hello right after you hear me say hello. That way we know how long the delay is. So say
Okay.
hello. Anyways, yeah. So I think Kenner kind of nails it for me in the vintage toy line. And
Mhm.
honestly, if you want any kind of like crazy,
Yeah, it's way delayed, bro.
yeah, it's super delayed. We'll work
Yeah.
on that. I don't think I selected the right stream for minimal delay, so I apologize. We'll get better on that for next time. But yeah, you know, uh, Kenner was what 78 to 2000,
78 to 2000, yes, sir. Hmm.
and then Hasbro took it over from
Well,
2000.
Hasbro purchased them. They were still running with the name of Kenner up until 2000. Hasbro purchased them in the 90s. I believe it was 91, 92. And then they phased it out right around 2000. And it might have been something contractual, something you never know. It could have been like, Lucas needed to get all of the
Yeah, he's got the
prequels
royalties.
out or something, maybe. I don't know. It might have been something towards that.
Well,
But anyway.
he's also got royalties and stuff from Kenner.
So they were probably like it's some kind of issue, but they phased it out in 2000, and then everything was going on the Kenner line, and then of course they brought back the vintage line with Kenner inspired kind of like designs, which are some of the better designs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
Which Hasbro, we're just waiting. But could you announce
I know. I know.
the HasLab
There are people
Rhino already
anticipating.
for mask?
You've got people that'll be at the Star Wars celebration
Yeah,
that were like on like look if somebody dropped the ball over Hasbro by not getting the Star Wars HasLab ready, somebody dropped that ball. I can tell you somebody went before the end of the weekend is going to go to their office and they're going to have like a box and the security is going to be with them
please
because
fill this up.
they're being shown the door because that is a major, they probably would have sold a crap load of the HasLabs. They probably still will, but that would have been all those guys at the celebration. That would have been definite. All right, so
Yeah.
like I said again, we're gonna say Kenner for the win,
Yep.
and but hey, if you got to be a distant second, Hasbro, don't feel bad because you're doing a great job with your distant second. Your figures are looking fantastic, man.
Yep.
So we're gonna run into now, of course, obviously. Now we had pre-ordered this and we thought about bringing it on the show and we said, hey, we did a purchase video with ourselves on it. Like we're gonna purchase this, we're gonna get it done, and then delay after delay after delay happened. I don't know if it was Mr. McFarlane's company or I don't know if it was Amazon, but it seems like this problem. But they finally sent it. I got mine in today right before about an hour and a half before we jumped on tonight. So that was cool. But then I think you got yours yesterday, Mr. Maddox, or when was it?
I got mine this morning.
Okay, all right. So they all shipped on the same day, which is cool. And that is the Page Punchers
Yeah. What do
by
you got
Todd
there?
McFarlane. I have got the GI Joe version, and it's got Snake Eyes and it's got Duke in it. And they've got a couple of comics. These are the IDW books from that era. So it's not like any of the new stuff that they've got out right now from Larry Hama and Skybound or any of the Energon universe.
Yeah.
These are IDW books. And I got to tell you, when initially we were talking about this, my disappointment was it was the fact that they weren't Marvel books.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do an era, like I said, I would much rather have the Marvel books because I didn't think the IDW era was a really good era in GI Joe. But this was written by Chuck Dixon, which, if you remember any of, if you ever read any Marvel books from the 80s or you read any of the DC books, I know Chuck Dixon was big on Robin and a bunch of other those characters, Nightwing, a bunch of characters. So he's got some points. But the figures, I will say, I am not disappointed with now they have minimum articulation. This is a starter. This is one of those starter things. This is one where you give it to somebody that's younger and you want to get them into reading and maybe they find the love of collecting. This is how you start it because these figures are nicely detailed, but yet also this is not meant for collectors.
Yeah.
Although it does come with a really nice little stand,
Yeah.
which they have right here too, where you can put your comics facing in. And I would probably tell somebody to get a bag and board and do that, because I don't think that comic's going to hold up like that. But it's really cool how they did this, and I think this is a really smart introductory tool into one, getting someone that's younger to read, but also into comics, and maybe a love of G.I. Joe. So McFarlane, you did a great job. The people over at Amazon, I don't know if they did a good job. So, and you've got, which ones you got, Mr. Maddox?
Yeah, well, two, also, we're not going to open these
No, we're not. No.
on camera, because you
No.
don't need to, because literally you can see them through packages.
Well, not just that too. Is like, have you seen how thick? The one aspect I will say is that they would have had to back the Amazon truck over this several times to crush this case.
Yeah, it
is
heavy duty.
This is at least it's not going to get bended unless somebody intentionally bends it. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So, well, there's two comics in each, right?
Yeah, there's two comics in each of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, two comics, a stand, and two figures.
Yeah, so one of the ones I got, we talked about it, and I decided I would do Transformers. I got this one.
Now I'm jealous at the Transformer one, because those are two of the best characters, but for small miniature characters, they look pretty good, man.
Yeah, they're really clean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Optimus Prime. And then you were like, "Oh, did you also see this one?" I said, "No, let me buy it." And so then I also got Wheeljack and Bumblebee.
Yeah, see. See, now the other G.I. Joe one was of the if it would have been like maybe two more Joes, I probably would have done it. But it was Cobra Commander and I believe Storm Shadow or something. And I just looked at those figures and I was like, I probably would have, like yours. You've got three Autobots and then one Decepticon, and the best Decepticon anyways. So that's but again, I'm going to give him, yes, sir. I'm going to give McFarlane the 10 out of 10 for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because this is like, look, we all know, let's take a little sidebar, that comic book stores and the comic industry, whatever picture they like to paint it, is running into problems. The toy industry is doing pretty good right now. And to combine both, and McFarlane, you got to give him credit for this, to combine both, maybe this is something that may get younger fans to go back into comic book stores and purchase and maybe help the industry a little bit more. I like to think, because the minimum characters is you're getting a couple of characters. I can't remember the price point, but I think it was what $10 or something. Was it 10 or 12
for these?
Yeah, I don't think these were bad price points. And I have seen a couple of, not these. I don't think we're going to see the Hasbro versions in like the Ross and the Ollies. But I've seen the DC version. I saw some Nightwing ones that were at Ross for like $4.99, and I saw a kid in there, and he was asking his mother, and she looks at $4.99. It's not too bad and everything. Two comic books, one character for the DC version, and I was like, there you go. You got somebody that might
$16.99.
Yeah. That's not a bad price point for 2 books, a stand, and 2 characters. I thought that was extremely reasonable.
Yeah.
So this will be. I'm actually not going to keep these. I'm going to be gifting that to some of my younger family members, so they can actually start getting the love of that stuff. But yeah, I give him a 10 out of 10 for this one, man. We give McFarlane crap a lot. You got a 10 for this one for me, man.
I think it's a fantastic idea. This is one of those things where it reminds you that McFarlane truly is a comic writer, artist, and then a fan of toys when you do something like this, because we've talked about this too, even with our Whatnot store, of like, do we find figures and then find comics to sell with the figures? Because if I could sit there and like I really love Fing Fang Foom. You know that it's one of my ones I wanted for a long time. I have him. But it would be cool if, like, when I bought it, then it also came with, like, read this, like, you had this comic,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to read about it. You figured out who Fing Fang Foom was. And it just becomes something that, like, gets you attached a little bit more. But I'm gonna give McFarlane 10 out of 10 on these, because for what they are, they're not meant to be articulation heroes. They're not meant to be anything other than what they are, which is just here's some figures for your kids to throw around and play and get messy with, and some comics to hopefully start them with the, like, itch to want to get into comics. So yeah, 10, 10
Exactly.
out 10 out of 10 on these. I'm not upset about it. It's not a bad purchase. I'd buy them again. And to be honest with you, like, I think it was a while, like a few weeks ago, I sent you an image of, I started seeing these page punchers for Spawn pop up in Target.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's when I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wow, these are actually a lot better than they look on online, because it's like they're heavy duty. The
Mm-hmm.
figures are very, I mean, if you look at the paint job on them, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. Like I said again, in no way, shape, or form can I say that I'm disappointed with this. Again, they're not supposed to be articulated. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be something that you can give to, like, it says 6 plus. But these are supposed to be ones that you give to little guys, or little girls. You get them out there, they're able to do that. And hopefully, again, they develop a love of reading or something. And that's why I also wish that it was the Marvel books.
Yeah.
And the same thing too when they have the comic book version of Grimlock. Look, now I think the only reason why they didn't do that because McFarlane's wheelhouse. But like, how much more valuable would that have been if they would have put like one of the Marvel series along with that box art with it? You
Yeah.
know, I would have definitely, probably a lot of collectors probably would have ran out and got that. But also that could have been something that you probably could have passed down to somebody else younger. So do us a
Yep.
favor. It's free comic book day this week. This is Toy Box Chronicles, but we love all things. If you have somebody that's young that you want to get them in, and you're a comic book reader yourself and you want to get them to start reading comics, it's free comic book day. The word free comes in. Get down to your local comic book store
Oh, it's
because
great.
they could really use your business. It's this Saturday, May the 4th, so it's also on Star Wars Day. But there's a lot of great books that's coming out that I saw. I think there was a Flash Gordon one. There's a couple other. I know Marvel, DC, all Image, all the major manufacturers
And let's
get there.
be real too. Like, free comic book day is actually free to you. They're not free to the comic book stores.
Mm-hmm.
So they're buying these in hopes that, people will come down to the store,
Exactly.
grab some free comics. But then also too, some comic book stores, I mean, the majority of the ones that I've ever worked with, and I've worked a few free comic book days. I would go down to a comic book store, be like, hey, can I just donate my time to help you out?
Yeah.
And it was like, they do things where it's like, yeah, it's free comic book day, but then they also do discounts sometimes. So if there's other comics you want to get into, you can get down there, grab some free comics, and then you can jump on some of your trades. If you want trades, those are going to be discounted. I think we're at a really important point in history right now with comic book stores.
Yes.
They are literally closing left and right, and they're having to get into like trading cards and Magic the Gathering and Pokemon tournaments and all this other stuff, because people just aren't doing comics. Kids aren't reading, and kids just don't want to get into them. You have people like myself and Storm, Chris, and Brentley that still are really into comics. But I mean, free comic book day, in my opinion, is a little deceptive because the comic book stores still have to pay for them.
Exactly.
So they're
But
just,
it hopefully gets people down in stores. I know that the events too, while it is like, a lot of these people only glorify the San Diego comic books, San Diego Comic Con. They glorify that, but they don't glorify the guy that's running the events on Saturday and everything else like that. Look, I came from a generation where I used to, like, take the bus down to the comic book store, spend hours there, read some books, go home. You took $10 there, you went into 100 different worlds, and it's way more productive. But these shops really do need you in there, and that's the whole reason why we do the pixel, plastic, and ink. On the point is that ink is still very important. So again, if you got anybody that's young, take them down to your local comic book store if you have one in the area. I know not a lot of people do in certain areas, but find one, pop your head in there, And actually, you know what? I'm sure that they've got these page punchers in there. I know a lot of them have action figures too,
Yeah.
because I made it a point where there's a local one in my area that I pop my head in because I used to live in LA County. Now I'm up here in the Inland Empire, and there's a couple of key stores and shops. One that I've made the decision that I'm just gonna pop in at least, every 2 weeks or once a month and everything to go in there. And very like some of these shops, some of these people are running these places like they're full-fledged businesses, and then there's some people that are giving these comic book stores a really bad name. But there's a lot of great shops out there. Free Comic Book Day, take them in. McFarlane's Page Punchers, that's the assignment this week, everybody. If you know anyone young, you don't have to order it from Amazon. You can actually walk into some of the Ross and Ollie's. I've seen them up
You
there.
shouldn't order comics from Amazon because they screwed up one of the best comic book resources known to man.
Comixology. Yeah.
They bought that and then they just said F it and just buried it away.
Yeah. But if you don't support it, like go in there, pick up a page puncher, give it to somebody young. They get a toy out of it. They might get hours of reading out of it because it only takes but one for them to have a little bit of imagination left.
Also, one of my favorite things about going into comic book stores is finding out which slabs they have. And some of them, some people have some really cool slabs of like older comics, but then they also have
You're right, Meeks. You're right.
Yeah, Comixology is badass. I'm telling you, man. They used to,
and Meeks is absolutely on the point. They did destroy it. Yes, they did, sir.
Because I remember when the first initial thing was when the transition from going into Amazon. There was talks about like, oh, but it's going to be great because Amazon has like a wide thing, whatever. And it was like, yeah, but Comixology, I could go in and I could put in which comic I liked, and it would reference me other comics around the same type.
Yep.
But now, like what Meek says, no one knows what it is anymore, and it's just buried away in Amazon. And whatever you bought on Comixology is just gone, which is the other thing we talked about before, which is digital sucks. Like, if you really like it, you buy paper because it can't take that, But to my point, getting into a comic book store, seeing what they have, free comic book day means that there is going to be discounts on other things. You just got to get in there and see what they're like.
Well, I'll tell you this: there was I'm not the one thing that we try not to do because we do have sponsors on some of the other shows. I'm not going to mention comic book stores until some of them actually give us the okay. But when I used to stay in the South Bay area, LA County region, there was a comic book store down there that was my preferred comic book store since I was probably in my first year of college. That I used that. I had another one for a time, and then I moved over to this one. I remember I was in there one time, and it's not just about comics. I remember it was the return of Batman, the whole thing where he was going through time. They had a run of all of the actual DC Direct figures. And I went in and said, "Oh wow, this is really cool!" And they had a pirate version of Batman, a prehistoric version. I was like, "These are great." And he was like, "Well, man, I'll make you a deal on these and everything." So that just get them out of the door. Great deal on the figures. I wouldn't have gotten that kind of deal if I hadn't went in there. So there's a lot of great toys and a lot of great stuff that's in there. Most definitely, man. You're absolutely right, Meeks. Absolutely right. We leave that up there for about a second. Let everybody just get the nuance of that because he's Meeks is preaching. But you'd be surprised. Like a lot of stores have Marvel Legends. A lot of them have a little bit of the obscure things, not just cards and everything else. But it's a great place to pop your head in. But there's way more Tourbox Chronicle like stuff in there than you think. It's not just about comic books and everything. They became a little bit more like the way GameStop is. A lot of these shops, it's not just about just having one product. They have multiple products.
Yeah, I mean it's great. Yeah, man. I think we could probably go on forever.
We get all night. Unfortunately,
I could go on forever about Kenner. Kenner like owns a lot of my childhood like memories. So Hats off to you, Kenner. I wish you'd just already released the HasLab Mask Rhino edition. You know.
Well, two things. We're coming down to the end and everything. So this is our the wrap up version of it. But let's run with some channel updates. Again, if you don't know, we're gonna tell you several times to all different casts. This is the Star Wars Week on the Shadow Nose Network, or like we like to call it, SKN. You're gonna have a bunch of Star Wars themed shows. Obviously, ours is tonight is Star Wars themed. You're also gonna have a couple of specials. We've been throwing up these specials every now and then that have been like 10 to sometimes 30 minutes. Meek had to say the line, didn't he?
Yeah.
There's gonna be a t-shirt made with that line, guaranteed. But all the there's gonna be a bunch of related shows. Again, Pixel Plastic Inc. this week. Or 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time will be a Star Wars show. The cards are already up, and then the next week's show, because we can do whatever we want. It's our network. We can do whatever we want. We're going to run 2 weeks, so it's going to be this coming Friday, and then the next Friday it's also going to be another Star Wars theme. So we're going 2 weeks on the Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
Again, we got some specials popping up.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is, there's for those of you that have been following me on my channel for Chet Maddox, a lot of my there's a hiatus that was taken from news and things like that, but there was a lot of focus happening over on the SKN. And so because of the Shadow Nose Network and the moves that we're making, I think it only fits that, the YouTube channel for Chet will probably turn into shorts and things that happen on the Shadow Nose Network. And it's all the daily updates, and Chet is selling his channel and whatnot. That's damn right. Okay. But I'm excited because I'm bringing over all of the daily or weekly or whatever updates that I can. They're all moving over to this channel because there's a lot of things happening in the background that we can't talk about that are awesome. And it's just, we want to pump the content in here. If you're into wrestling, you see we have a lot of wrestling stuff happening with Techmaster. We got the retro rewind stuff happening with Chris and myself. Those take a little bit longer because we have to do research and get things in. That's why they're not live. We have there's a lot happening on the channel, man. I'm real excited about it.
Yeah.
It's good.
I got to tell you one thing too, also with the whole Star Wars theme too. Shadow, he's got a podcast up now too, the Shadow Shoot Shot, but he did a couple of special Star Wars toy hunts. So check that stuff out. That'll be that'll be popping up. The aspect that we've been working on, we got some merchandise and everything. We did a Whatnot stream last Saturday that you can actually catch that stream, not just on Whatnot, but you can catch it on the SKN channel. So, we got a lot of great things going, and, hard work from everybody behind the scenes. I know when we decided to do Toy Box Chronicles was to try to get Mr. Maddox and Tyson to fully be here.
It worked, damn it. It worked.
It did. And of course, look, we love all the loyal people that's following us. There's been guys since day one, and I'm always going to mention the day oneers. Meeks, since day one. Thank you, sir. Every time. It's always a pleasure to have you in. Yeah.
So Chris, for those of you that don't know, for Chris, I think we all have this dream. If you don't know,
yes, sir.
We have a video right now on our channel, and
yes,
it's exciting for us, but whatever. But we're at over 600,000 views in just under 5 days. I think is where it's at. So that it probably will reach 1 million. We literally own the search terms for the video. So,
and like I said, again, it's a blessing because there's been guys again has rocked with us since day one, and that's and this is all like when you see things going and see moves making and merchandise and all the rest of things, a lot of hard work that you've been doing, a lot of hard work that Chris has been doing, a lot of hard work that Dr. Brentley, Tech Master, and Shadow. I just give credit. We got a great team of guys out there. We've got all of our monitors or mods that's been just going through the chat. They send us most of the stuff too, so we're reviewing that. Yeah, we absolutely appreciate, like we'll roll that up. It's like we do appreciate everyone that's listening, everyone that pops in on Friday nights, pops in on Wednesday nights, checks out the shorts. Thank everybody for popping in. But if you haven't subscribed and you got that moment to subscribe, you should do it right now. You should take a second and do it right now.
If you don't do it in the next like 1 or 2 minutes, it's probably going to charge you, and we're covering the cost for now to click that subscribe button. But yeah, I mean, do you anything else? I know we keep getting people coming in here.
I know.
Weird cutting it off, man.
I actually do that. I feel bad too, man. It feels like also, put that in the chat if you'd like to see Chet and I, or later on after on, see us maybe move it down a half an hour, because Chet and I could do what we want. We don't have that luxury on the Pixel Plastic Inc. Friday, but we could do that on Toybox Chronicles. We can knock it down. So
we could come in early. We can
come in late.
Later.
Like
we can show up at your house.
Exactly.
I think it's something we talked about.
Yeah. Yep. But other than that, man, hey, as usual, this is the part where we hate it because we got to say goodbye to everybody. But guess what? Catch us on Friday night, Pixel Plastic and Ink, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. But you'll have just some of our dead weight, 2 extra members of dead weight. This is the best group right here, but we'll have the other guys on.
Yeah, that's true. And they don't watch this, so they won't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah. And then also Friday is when you find out whether or not we're doing another Whatnot stream. We don't talk about it until Fridays. So.
Exactly. It's like Fight Club.
Yeah, you don't talk about Fight Club. But hey, look, as always, it's been fantastic for you guys to have us here. I know we're the best part of your day. We want to thank you to all the 600,000 people watching right now. That's a lot. We've gone up. Meeks, it's been a great show with you as well. Appreciate all of the interaction. And hey, look, man, Meeks, here's the deal. If you want to jump in as a guest on Pixel Plastic Inc., because we are going to be starting to get into like video game news. So if you want to be a guest on Pixel Plastic Inc. on Fridays and talk about video games and just be on for that podcast, you just gotta let us know, man. We're open to guests. If anybody watching this wants to jump in and talk about your passions, let us know. Obviously Toy Box Chronicles, we're going to keep it to toys. But they can be toys about video games. Mm-hmm. And who knows? I might give away one of my never released sealed PS4 Final Fantasy remakes that only a few people know I have, but I have 2 copies.
And also, Meeks does want to make sure, if you don't know, the Toy Box Chronicle, make sure you got that up on the pixelplastic.com so you can purchase it.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, for Mr. Storm and myself, it's been fantastic having you. And ultimately, if you know, and we'll just have to see you next time.